Doing it? Oh, no countdown anymore. Okay.
Here we are.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Wine Wednesday. I'm here with Alex Reinhard.
Hey.
And cheers.
Hey, cheers.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Alex is a videographer, photographer, graphic designer, musician. Ooh, that is really good.
See, I told you.
And he's also a wine connoisseur. And actually knows things about wine, unlike me who drinks boxed wine and like the cheapest wines I can find. And for someone who hosts Wine Wednesday, you think I should like know a thing or two about it?
A little bit, maybe.
Yeah, but this is actually probably one of the tastiest wines we've had on the show, and you picked it out.
It's a solid wine, right?
I'm gonna have to. I'll show the. Let me get rid of the comments, and you guys can comment. And we'll say hi later. What are we drinking? Z. Alexander Brown.
Gotta let the dog out. Of course.
It is a Cabernet, and it has a little owl on it, and it's a cute little owl. But yeah, Alex definitely chose this wine, and it's delicious. And once he gets back in this room, I'm gonna make him tell us more about wine.
More about wine.
Well, okay, just like the basics. Like, what's the difference between like a Merlot and a Cabernet?
Grape selection. So Cabernet Sauvignon is actually probably one of the most difficult types of wine to make because the grapes are so absolutely difficult to grow, and such a small percentage of them actually come out the way that they need to be to make wine. So a really good cab like this one,
yeah,
it's hard to come by in my opinion.
So what's the differences in the grapes?
Just like the genus. So, okay. I mean, like, they're literally totally separate grapes. Like, the Cabernet Sauvignon grape is totally different than, you know, like a grape you would get in the supermarket or a grape that would be used to make Merlot, which is a blend of different grapes. Cabernet Sauvignon and, like, Pinot Noir, they're, like, single grape wines, whereas, like, Merlot and other reds are, like, blends of different types of grapes put together. Sometimes even white ones.
So, do you have a favorite type? Do you have Cabernet over Merlot? Cabernet?
Cab, always. Yep.
Merlot's generally a little bit sweeter, right?
Yeah,
and
it's much
Cabs
more
are
sweet.
a little bit more drier.
Although I do like making like pot roast with Merlot.
Really?
Yeah. Anytime you use like wine in like a crock pot or anything like that, it really breaks down the meat and makes it all like tender and juicy.
Oh shoot! Look at that. There's some life pro tips here for new crock pot makers. And is there like a specific, there's like a tasting method. I actually have done wine tasting, so I'm not completely ignorant, but I like on the show, I just don't really do any
crazy things.
Anything too fancy, just because, you know.
You should start doing like flights of wine. Like sample different kinds as you go along.
So I do get a different bottle every time.
Okay.
And usually the bottle has something to do with the guest, and it mainly has to do with the graphics. It has nothing to do with the actual type of wine.
How fitting that I told you to get a wine that has my name in it.
Well, you gave me two choices, and I went with this one because it had your name in it. So that's literally.
I swear it's not an ego thing. It's good wine.
This is definitely one of the best.
Especially for in the price range. I think it, on like Wine Enthusiast or whatever, it got like 92 points. So it's like very well rated.
Well, and my theory is like no wine's really worth more than like $20.
Fair.
Yeah, I try and and this was just under the $20 range. So it was a pretty good affordable wine. But no, like I said, I'm fine with box wine thing. Obviously, like there's like the super cheap wines that just taste like vinegar, and I'm just not about that. But you know, there's like the nice medium wines that price wine.
What do you like? Do you like full-bodied, kind of like really robust, rich flavored wines, or do you like lighter, more like buttery kind of wine?
I usually go with Merlots and Cabs, so I like kind of, probably like the darker reds. Yeah, nothing too bright, nothing too sweet. Yeah. Sweet wines really get on my nerves after a while. Like they literally annoy me after I drink enough of it, so I can't really do it. Probably because I don't drink sodas or anything. Like
fair.
I try that, yeah. But anyways,
segue.
I gotta segue this out. So we met not too long after you moved from Philly. When did you come to Arizona?
Oh God, let's see here. I guess 2011.
2011?
Yeah.
And so what brought you to Arizona?
Okay.
From Philadelphia.
Well, originally I wanted to go to Full Sail College in Florida. And I actually went down there and toured it. But pretty much everyone I talked to had really discouraging things to say about the massive amount of student debt that you're in afterwards and the lack of jobs.
Fair enough, but I feel like that applies to basically everywhere.
It does. But like a lot of the stuff they taught, it was a lot more, I guess, technically oriented, and it's not an accredited school. So
Oh.
I wanted a actual degree.
Yeah.
So I looked at going to like UCLA, places like that, but like right in California, yeah, exactly. Everything was like so expensive.
Yeah.
But then Arizona, cost of living was like 45% less than cost of living in Pennsylvania. And that made me like super happy, super stoked. I was like, dude, I can make the same amount of money and live like a king. Like that's badass.
Yeah.
So yeah, I applied to ASU and got in because ASU and probably not particularly difficult to get in. And yeah, went for a film program.
I didn't know. So did you actually go to ASU and graduate at ASU?
Yeah.
I did not know that at all.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't know what ASU?
No, I didn't.
No, for
I thought you went to school in Philly.
No, well, I did. I transferred out here.
Oh, okay.
But I went to like community college back in Philadelphia.
Okay.
I didn't do anything like crazy there.
You studied film, and then you also did programming. Is that right?
I did programming from when I was like younger.
Yeah.
And then that kind of just like carried with me, and I taught myself a lot of that kind of stuff.
Oh, so you taught yourself how to code?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly like HTML, CSS, PHP, a little bit of Python.
You're like a little hacker,
I
like
wish.
Mr. Robot back in the
wish.
day.
Nah.
What? So okay, how did you go from like teenage Mr. Robot hacker from Philadelphia to Arizona videographer? What got you into the videography scene?
Oh God. Okay. All right. This is good. So it's more like when I was a teenager, I didn't do anything except for a bunch of drugs and had no direction in anything. And then all my friends went on with their lives, and all my friends that like stayed behind got like way more into drugs, and I had like I guess an epiphany moment, or like I don't know, some sort of like realization that like I wanted to actually do something with my life and not live in the same town I was from forever. And my dad raised me watching like a bunch of old films. From like the 40s, 50s, 60s, like Hitchcock, like all those classics.
Yeah.
And I'd always done like photography, and I kind of put like those two together and realized I wanted to make movies, which is what led me to start doing movies to begin with. And then when I came out here, I was obviously doing that in college already.
Yeah.
And then I met this guy who shall remain unnamed, a self-proclaimed sociopath. Who I'm not even making this shit up. So I did like this internship for this like studio in Tempe. Okay. And I'm pretty sure it was like funded by drug money, and it was just super sketch. And there was this guy there, and he was really cool at first. And he had actually just moved here in the same time frame from Pennsylvania, but from Pittsburgh. So it was like super like I don't know, transcendental. Like I felt like the stars had aligned. You know what I mean? I was like really young and naive.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is like meant to be. Like I'm doing the right thing. Like of course.
Yeah.
And so he got fired from that place in this like really awful way, and then called me and like asked me if I wanted to produce music videos for him. And
wait, so was he sketchy or was the place sketchy?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Definitely. I mean, it was like a really nice studio though. Like it had a full control room. Like I met a bunch of people there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super cool. Like not too far from the Walmart on Elliott Road.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a nice area.
Yeah.
But wait, okay, sorry, I interrupted your story. So what took the nosedive away from this guy?
I said yes to producing music videos for him, and we did like a couple like pretty big budgeted videos. That I watched him kind of like screw a whole bunch of people over on.
Oh no!
Like pocketing money, shit like that. And then I guess it culminated in this event. I started distancing myself from him because I don't know, like I saw him get like. Or at least like super emotionally abusive towards like a small child, and it just like sketched me out. So I started distancing myself from him. And then there was this one day when I was at Phoenix Comic Con. I'll never ever forget this.
What year?
2012, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, 2012 makes sense. And so I guess he hadn't paid any of his bills in like months, and demanded that I help him move. And I was like, I told him no, like I had shit to do.
Yeah.
So he started like calling me like every 2 seconds at like 4 p.m. and telling me that like I didn't answer because it stressed me out. I had a panic attack as soon as I saw him like calling me a million times because I'm not about that life.
Seriously.
And he said that like his power had been turned off and like wires turned off, and he was like sitting in the dark, and he was like blaming me for all that shit. And,
why?
So,
but he was the one like stealing money and
so then he like he went and moved in with this makeup artist that we had both worked on a film on, and she and this is like a grown like 40s 50s, like she was pretty old, and she started harassing me and all this shit, and this older guy, Paul Hudson, Shout out to Paul Hudson if he ever watches this. Amazing human being. Oh, I gotta go get her. But he gave me like some of the best advice. He was like, just be you and like don't enter into the drama, and ultimately people will see that like you took the higher road and like trust you. And that's what I did, and that's what ended up happening. And then Tom had to move back, and I stole some of his clients.
And so oh, nice.
Yeah.
You can go let your dog out.
Yeah, I'm gonna go do that.
So I will talk to the camera by myself, guys. What up? So if you just missed it, Alex told a story of how he moved here, met a guy who was super sketchy. He disassociated with him and stole all his clients because Alex is not sketchy. Alex is a legit and a real guy. And I think that's kind of the value of being a genuine person. I think people can see through that kind of bullshit. But anyway, so you then went on to do a lot of metal videos. That was kind of your like foot in the door.
Yeah.
Or at least like you and I talked about the other day how it was like your niche.
Yeah, definitely.
What was like was that intentional? Like you only wanted to do metal music videos, or because it sounds like you originally wanted to do film.
Yeah.
And then you slid into kind of this other world of music videos, and then
exactly
into another world of metal music videos specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I guess pretty much by like chance. Yeah, I mean, like I would send out cold letters. I would just like go and find bands on like Facebook, on like Reverb Nation, anywhere that had music, and I would go and I would listen to it. And if I liked it, like even in the least, I would send them a cold letter and be like, hey, like what's up? Check it out. Like let's work together. And I hit this band called Apparitions. And Mark got back to me in like 2 seconds and was just like, all right, like let's hang out. And I went and hung out with him, and he was like, do you like Star Wars? And like we both like Star Wars, and we just like kind of hit it off, and we like, drank beer all night and like just chilled. And then he introduced me to Griffin, and Griffin like introduced me to like all these fucking metal dudes and like just like an overwhelming amount of people. And I did one video for them, and it kind of like picked up, and then more people in that community started contacting me. And then by that point, like my reel was like 90% like metal shit. It was like, so I decided to like capitalize on it and kind of just like make it a niche market. Because there's not a lot of crossover.
No. Well, that was because I actually found you when you were doing metal stuff. And I was like, damn, these videos are really good. I wonder if we can do something other than metal. And these like horror shoots, essentially. Were you like a fan of horror and stuff?
Yeah, I still like horror. I really like psychological kind of stuff though. Like really intense, like scary, like inside stuff.
Did you, not to completely get off topic here, but did you see the preview that came out today for Slender Man?
No. Was it badass or was it awful?
I don't know. Like, it looks kind of bad, but it looks like something I have to see at the same time.
Okay.
Because there's a bunch of like, so even like the concept of Slender Man was like, it was just like a really creepy photo that someone manipulated, and like then someone else made some bullshit story about it.
Creepypasta, yeah.
Yeah. And so like, the real scary thing of Slender Man is just like that manipulated image. And so like what the trailer did right was like there was just like a bunch of, I wouldn't call them stills, but just like good videography of like there's like a needle going inside of an eye and just like all this like weird creepy stuff. And so it like kind of creeped you out, but it wasn't like inherently like, I don't know. It also doesn't look high budget, so.
Hey, that's kind of hard.
Really?
Right there. It's like super low budget.
Yeah, it's like a low budget with good videography. So I have no idea if that's going to be good or not. But I like horror too.
Horror movies are like the cheapest movies to make, to be fair.
I never saw Get Out. Did you see Get Out this year?
Yeah, I did see
Get Out. That's like the one that I was like dying to see, and they made it. Meh. That was like the #1 movie of like all of horror. I guess it probably was. But
it was good.
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought that was a really good remake.
But yeah, that was very cheaply made. Get Out was very, very cheaply made.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
That whole studio, the whole concept of them is to make like as cheap of movies as possible. I can't remember the other big horror movie they did.
I mean, that's how you make money.
Like Paranormal, I think, maybe.
Paranormal Activity?
They might have done
really?
Paranormal, yeah.
Because like Jordan Peele wrote like Get Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, which like I thought was really surprising. And then I saw it and it made total sense because there's a lot of like one-liners and jokes and shit like that.
Really? Yeah. Is he in it at all?
No.
Oh,
no. He directed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did a good job. I mean, it was entertaining. I'd give it maybe like a 7 out of 10.
Dude, I like
a 6.5.
6.5. Okay, I still gotta watch it.
Yeah, you should watch it for sure.
Anyway, sorry to sidetrack.
Oh, that's cool.
So then now you were doing these metal videos, and it was actually the Arizona music scene had a lot of more metal bands back then too. I feel like
it was huge.
Yeah, metal's always been kind of Arizona's thing.
Yeah, like Job for a Cowboy comes from here.
Oh, dude, Real Estates, Plus the Fall, like the mid to late 2000s, like huge movement was like all coming out of.
But Change of Pace is from here. Not that they're like metal, but
no, but they came out as like a screamo band when they first started.
Dude, I was way into them when I was in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I used to see them like that. My very first local show was a Change of Pace, and it was back in 2006 at CCV, the church.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they played like I think it was like one of their first CDs came out.
Dude, I used to go to so many church shows back in Philly.
They were the best because the churches have like these like super nice sound systems.
Well, dude, in the basement of the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, they have like a stage, but it's just like a tiny little bit off the ground, like maybe like an inch or two. So like I saw 4 Year Strong down there. I saw like Bring Me the Horizon on their first US tour down there. Like all these bands played down there, and there was no security. And it was just like
god!
Awesome.
I was about to say, I bet like hardcore shows have been dope down there.
Oh yeah.
Those tight spaces where people's beating the crap out of each other.
We're doing that at the 4 Year Strong show. Someone took like a fire extinguisher and started spraying everyone else with it, and they had to evacuate everything. And then like half the people left, but then they finished their set after like they cleaned it up and everything. So it was like half the crowd.
And the church was just okay with these kids beating the living hell out of each other.
Yeah, I think they like. I mean, it was a Unitarian church to begin with. I don't know what you know about the Unitarians, but they're like mega liberal, which there's nothing wrong with. But like, that's not surprising that they would like allow.
Well, all power to them, man. Yeah. All churches need to be like that. We have a lot better venues in Phoenix if more churches open their doors. CCD needs to do more shows again. But yeah, no. So now you kind of moved out of metal, and now you've been branching off into all kinds of stuff. Obviously, you work with us. We're far from metal, but you've also been doing like a lot of like fashion photography and things like that. Mm-hmm. So are you like consciously trying to like find new markets, or is it just like you just want to express yourself creatively, or like what's kind of your?
Oh damn, Derek, that's good. I guess the need to create, I feel, is like super high for me. So like I guess a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Like ideally, I would be working on like label size and like larger band scale music videos, entirely in 4K with like an actual production crew. Like usually like pretty much like near short film quality. So that's goal for next year. I want to finish rewriting a screenplay that I have registered that I want to shoot by next year also. Oh shoot!
You vaguely told me about that.
Yeah, and like portrait photography, like in any way, shape, or form. Like I definitely want to get like more magazine submissions in and all sorts of stuff like that. I don't know. Like I guess ideally, I see myself as being like a portrait photographer who also creates films in a very loose definition.
My like thing now is that being an artist in like this modern era or whatever is about kind of like not like spreading your chips across multiple baskets, but like doing things that aren't just being good at one thing isn't enough to me.
Yeah.
You know, and like it's also not enough of a creative outlet. Like I love creating music and I love playing my guitar and writing songs. But to me, like, it's just, there's some days where it just doesn't satisfy, like, that creative niche for me.
Yeah.
And that's when I resort to, like, writing poems or, like, working with you on new photo shoots and
video
shoots.
It's the same thing for me. Back and forth between, like, music and, like, writing and, like, photos and, like, videos and stuff like that.
So, I mean, I definitely have, like, my go-to, like, this is my, you know, breaking pattern or music. That is, like, the crux of everything we do. But I feel like me as like an artist, like I don't feel like I just want to stop there. I just want to like keep seeing, like if my brain can produce other things, then why not like see where I can go with those other things without, of course, neglecting the thing that people obviously tune in to see. So I don't know. So I feel like the same way, but instead of like music being your primary go-to, you know, you're a videographer who also does, you know, like full-on film to music videos to fashion photography, and you do music on the side as well. And no, I just identify with that as an artist. Do you have like is there like one that you find like particularly difficult or like more challenging than the others? Like, do you prefer metal shoots over indie shoots?
No, I guess I get kind of bored doing predominantly like performance-based videos, especially in the metal genre, because a lot of times I like doing things that are kind of like juxtapositions, especially with metal, because it's such like an intense genre.
Yeah.
I like doing light visuals with that and like things that aren't necessarily like super dark, but like typically people don't really want that.
Right.
So Yeah, I don't know. Like, I really hate doing corporate stuff a lot of the time because it's super mind-numbing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty good at finding like a creative way to do pretty much anything.
Well, when an artist comes with you with like an ultra creative idea, are there times that you gotta kind of shoot the idea down? Is there other times that you've
Yeah,
got to
plenty
like?
of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things get shot down for a myriad of reasons. Budget, time, things like that. Like most people don't really have, I guess, a really good understanding of all that goes into shooting something in any way, shape, or form. So they tend to think of like really big picture ideas.
Right.
So a lot of times it's about scaling it down and like finding like the basic parts of the plot and all that kind of stuff.
So when like a band or an artist comes to you with an idea, like where do you begin as a videographer, right? So you got a band who knows nothing about videography, they have some grand idea or vision, and maybe a tight budget, and then you as a videographer, where do you start in that method in order to make their dream video a reality video?
I'll just like zone out and like put headphones in and listen to the song like a fuck ton of times and just like read what they wrote me. Usually I'll copy and paste it. I have like a treatment little document and I'll just like reformat it into like how I would write it and then just keep reading through it, and then I tend to think like visually about what that would look like, and then I try and think about like what I would need from myself to be able to accomplish that kind of a shot. And if I can't do it, I try and think of like an alternate that either illustrates the same basic concept or that is like kind of close to the original. I don't know, something like that.
That's great. Do you have any like specific like inspirations or influences like that you derive from when you're doing music videos? That
Yeah,
like,
shout out to Max Moore, awesome music video director, probably the best music video director I've ever seen.
Really? Who has he
Definitely.
shot?
Code Orange, Newfound Glory, Citizen, like dude's done so many amazing music videos, it's insane.
So do you tend to try and adopt any stylistic mannerisms from his work or anything like that? Or
I think like his style is probably a lot different than mine. I like to see some of the things he accomplishes and try and speculate on how they were done a lot of times. He writes a blog on some of that stuff, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, I really like looking at other people's art. It's really cool to see like how other people express themselves and to try and understand like why they chose to do some of the things they chose to do.
Yeah.
Where the creativity comes from, shit like that.
Yeah, I know for me, like I tend to. Did you ever read? There's this great book called Steal Like an Artist. And they talk about like adopting styles and influences of others, and it is this weird fine line. I mean, I've definitely heard bands who like straight up rip like 1975 like note for note.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh god, like this is so obviously like you did not write an original note in this entire song. But like for me, I'm like, oh, I really like that lead line from the 1975, but I really like the rhythm here, and I like the vocal melody here, and so like I'll take all these different elements from like musicians and artists that I like, and I'll try and like create like super songs out of it. And then by the end of like whatever song I mashed up, it sounds like nothing. It just sounds like me doing.
That's what you're supposed to be doing.
Right. No, and I think that honestly is like what I think of when people think of inspiration or influence is like you do steal in the sense of like you take like the one good like the best ideas of something that's great instead of just taking like the entire thing. Because for me, like something is great because there's elements in it that make it great. Yeah. And as always, like that's what you want to find is those like golden. Moments in the songs that just like, because every song has that moment where you just like get a chill. You're like, oh, that bridge, that hook, that chorus, and like you just hear that or that line, like, and that like you take all those like those spine chilling moments and you adopt them into your own work, and then you write completely mediocre stuff all the time. That's how it's done.
That's how it's done.
But I didn't know if that's something that like videography you could really do because I feel like it's a lot more difficult with
No, I mean, you see stuff in movies. You see stuff like in other music videos. You see like photo shoots.
Yeah.
You see like other people making things. It gives you ideas. There's definitely trends also. Like back around the time that double exposures were like really big in 2016. Like 2017 was all about like flower crowns, like shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, all that shit repeats and just like regurgitates intermittently.
Oh, for sure. Well, the music video we just shot, which we're not releasing for a while now, is like, I'm like, man, this is like super trendy, and we need to release this soon, or else it's gonna be outdated already. Like, it's one of those videos that like when it's released, it's gonna be dope, but then like like 3 years from now, people are gonna look back and like, ooh, that's like super 2018.
It's such a weird thing to think about right now. You know what I mean? Like 3 days into 2018.
Yeah.
Oh God. It doesn't even feel like it's a new year yet.
Oh yeah. And it's already chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I got so close to putting out this tweet today that I stopped myself, and now I'm about to say it in Facebook Live, so it doesn't matter. But I was like, 2017 felt like a year of like complete anxiety, where we're just like constantly like, oh, like we're all like, I'm okay with death. And then 2018 is like, hey, guess what? You're all gonna die. And we're like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
I've accepted it now.
It's alright. It's cool because there's no jobs. It's really expensive. Like, it's cool.
Like 2017 prepared me from the inevitable doom and apocalypse that is 2018.
Fair enough.
So anyway,
that's why they make this. Cheers, by the way.
Cheers, dude. This is like, honestly, this wine and the wine that I have with Dimitri are probably the two best wines we've had on the show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys drink?
Honestly, the one I got with Dimitri was the cheapest one I had bought in the entire show, but it was I can't. It had like a circus on it. I can't remember.
Did you get the Trader Joe's?
No, I went to like Fry's, I think.
Okay.
But it was. I had this like my Fry's is a huge wine selection. But I gave him one that looked like a circus because I was like, he's a promoter, so I was like, oh, you got to juggle like it's a circus, whatever. So getting into music was video. Did video come first and then music, or did music come first and then video? Because if anyone doesn't know, you also play in a band. Also looks like mountains.
Yeah, also looks like mountains.
That's your current project, right?
That is my current musical project.
Yeah.
That is correct. Yeah, so I mean, I played music since I was like 5 years old. I played a myriad of instruments from like violin to.
Really, you're a violinist?
Yeah, I played violin in the orchestra.
I was talking to a friend the other day and saw him about how that's like the hardest instrument to learn. At least that's what I've been told. Is the violin's the hardest.
Huh.
There's like no frets or anything, you know.
Yeah, but like I don't know. You ever played like a fretless guitar?
Yeah. I guess that's similar. I guess it's similar.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know? Once you get like a feel for where things are.
Yeah.
I mean, do you look at like your frets when you're playing guitar?
No, but I can feel them, you know.
Yeah.
And I can play like a fretless bass and things like that.
See, same kind of thing.
Yeah, but I haven't like there's like markings on it. Violins.
All right. To be fair, like when I learned violin, I was like fucking 5 years old or something. So you know, so they put
your brain's like malleable.
They put little stickers that have like the little note.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
the spot and everything like
right.
that, and then like just muscle memory, you learn where things are.
Yeah, if they have like little dots, that would make it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But pretty cool. So wait, was that your first instrument? Was violin?
Yeah, violin, then bass, then guitar. Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
And then, and you kind of have like a sludgy metal type thing going.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like post rock, sludge, stoner metal. I don't know. The new thing we're working on is going to be a lot different, though. Like a lot different. I'm really excited.
Is it still the same band, or?
Yeah, same band. But it's going to be. I don't know, more concept driven, I guess, and more.
You know what I like most? Okay, the element of your music that I like the most was the fact it was like super. What's the word? Cinematic.
Yeah, that's what we're going for.
Yeah, you had this like the single you put out was like 7.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
So it was really long. And like honestly, I put it on and I forgot I had put it on, and I was like, "What am I listening to?" And I came back and I was like, "Oh, what band is this?"
Have you ever listened to like Hammock or anything like that?
Yeah. I'm like really into like Caspian.
I love stuff like that. Yeah, Caspian's a huge influence of ours. I don't know if you've ever heard of Brontide, but they're fucking amazing. Russian Circles.
Russian Circles.
Yeah, I love all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, or like I haven't listened to
God is an Astronaut.
God is an Astronaut.
Yes. They're fucking great.
I used to write all my poetry to God is an Astronaut.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, they're good.
I'll show you my post rock playlist on Spotify.
Tight. Yeah,
so you can
I love that.
That's usually like I write all my poetry to post rock. I started working on a novel as of like yesterday.
Oh, cool.
I mean, I've been outlining it for last year,
Huh.
but my New Year's resolution was to start pinning on it on the 1st. But yeah, I just listen to post rock whenever I write.
Tight.
Yeah, it just helps me like focus in and.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, that's why I liked your music, was because like I had turned it on thinking, and then like forgot that I had turned it on because I went off to do other things, and then I was like, because it's post-rock, I just figured it was like on my playlist. So I was like, what band is this? They're kind of killing it. And I like looked over, I was like, oh shit, this is still Alex's thing. But I like, so are you going to keep that whole, you said it's concept driven, so are you going to keep that cinematic type thing going with it, or what?
Yeah. No, there's a storyline behind the new thing that's pretty epic. We tend to do things that are really like big picture ideas.
Really?
That are really kind of really out there.
Super ambitious and...
yeah, like this one's like kind of like 28 Days Later without zombies meets like Waterworld.
Bro, really?
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Craziest thing.
Yeah. It's basically about like this guy that wakes up alone.
Is this going to be your manuscript that you wrote?
No, this is literally just the storyline for like the new album that we have.
Oh wow, okay, sorry, continue.
Yeah, so he like wakes up alone, like there's nobody anywhere but like rabid dogs and like shit like that, and then finally he makes it to like the ocean, and like there's no ocean. What? No ocean?
No ocean.
So he decides to like walk to like the other continent, and he just like starts walking like totally out of desperation, and then like there's a tsunami out of nowhere, like water just like emerges after this massive earthquake, and he almost dies. And then he wakes up, and he's like a slave on this futuristic space pirate ship kind of thing. Which is like in the water, but like it's like, I don't know, future somehow. I haven't gotten that far in my thinking yet. And then they're like looking for land, and then like, you know, there's a mutiny and shit, and he like overthrows everything and survives, and then like ends up adrift and finally sees land in the distance. But you don't know whether it's like a good or bad thing.
Is there lyrics to this?
No. It's just based on the feelings and the vibes of like how the music goes.
Dude, that's insane.
Yeah.
So all this, what, are you gonna shoot a video or anything for
this?
Yeah,
we want to. It's like a pretty big undertaking. It's a lot longer than the first thing that we put out. It's kind of like 2 18-minute long songs.
Oh wow.
So yeah, eventually we'll get there. It's probably gonna take us all of 2018 to get this recorded and polished out. We just started literally last week. Just started like practicing playing it together. Before that, it's just been like pre-pros that like I wrote MIDI drums and like played guitar to and sent to him. And
are you gonna remember how to play an 18-minute long song?
Oh, that's not an issue for me.
Really?
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh my god.
I can play both sides already, pretty much.
Ah man, you guys and Holy Fawn need to play a show together.
That would be dope. I would be hella stoked on that. Yeah, that'd be super cool.
Ryan, if you're listening, man.
Yeah, hit me up.
Yeah,
let's make a show happen.
Because his shit, man, he just turns off the lights, like puts on those like glowy lights, and you just...
That's kind of like us too.
Yeah, man, you just kind of like
fog and shit like that.
You zone out, and then he'll just hit you, like he'll just like drop a bomb on you and wake you back up.
Yeah, dude.
He has like such a control over the crowd.
This is how the new thing's gonna be a lot like that. Like a lot of like really fast, hard hitting parts that segue to like really soft piano parts, and then, like kind of like explosions in the sky, like stacking really simple guitar parts on top of each other, and then progressing into like a melody that like just becomes really epic and intense.
Do it, man.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
That's my favorite kind of music.
Me too.
Did you name the band after? Probably not, but Hills Like White Elephants.
No, I have no idea what that is.
Hills Like White Elephants. It's a short story by F. Scott Fitzgerald,
really?
I think.
Huh.
Yeah, it's like kind of an effed up story about like I don't know why I'm telling you this story because you didn't name your band after it. But I thought that's what you named. There's a book called or like a short story called Hills Like White Elephants, and it's like this like British girl and this American man, and they're like sitting at like a table. And he's like really like strict and conservative, and she's like this like kind of like flowery-ish, hippie-ish kind of girl.
Tight.
And the whole thing is like, it's clearly talking about like she's pregnant and she like secretly kind of wants to keep it, but like he's like, no, you need to get an abortion, blah blah blah. But like the way they do it is like very
holy shit, Derek. That's intense.
It's a super heavy story.
Yeah, dude.
And the whole short story is just a conversation of them at a table. And but the guy's like super like straightforward, and the girl's like speaking these abstracts. So she's like saying these things that's like going over his head, and he's just but he acts like she's stupid. And the whole time you're like, well, she's not stupid. She's clearly like more creative and more intelligent than him because she's like kind of speaking in these abstracts and he doesn't get it. And I don't know. It's a really good story, and I thought maybe that was what influenced your band name, but clearly not.
No, my wife named our band.
Nicole.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that name, Nicole?
So Alex bought this expired film,
it was expired Polaroid film.
And he took photos on it anyway, of things like himself, the dog, the cats, and he started like writing the names on them.
You guys
they all came out like
the same.
awful. Like all like just like
washed out or
like
what?
No, just like totally orange. Or like really just like jagged and fucked up. Like, none of it was like a photo. Like the film was just completely fucked up.
Was this on one of your old school vintage cameras?
Yeah, this is on like an old Polaroid SE, I think, and it's like twice the size of a normal Polaroid, and they don't have film that big for it anymore. The only Polaroid film they make still is like the regular 640 size.
So pretty much any film that you can get for it's going to be expired.
No, like for this one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one company that makes it, and I think they just discontinued it like a month or two ago, so good luck. But yeah, no, it all came out looking awful, and one of them came out looking like a mountain range, and it looked really cool. And the next one came out looking like a mountain range, and I was telling Cameron about it. And Cameron and I have been in like a bunch of music shit together, and we always just like laugh and come up with band names. And I was like, the first one looked like mountains, and I was like, the second one, Nicole was like, also looks like mountains. And me and Cameron looked at each other, and we're like, post-rock band.
There's the band name.
And then like a week later, we just kind of jammed, and like he has like a Lisa's DM10 electronic drum set.
Yeah.
And then we just
the percussion on your songs were really good.
Yeah, we just plug into like Reaper and like record all of our jam sessions, and then copy paste parts and like write songs.
Right, you're doing your own production too, right?
Yeah, so far. We'll see what happens with this next thing. It's pretty big picture, so we might record everything and have someone else like mix and master it.
Dude, yeah, that's pretty impressive. You have a lot of hats that you wear, man.
Yeah.
How's the life as a freelancer?
How's life as a freelancer? Stressful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for someone who's like so ridiculously creative and like constantly like thinking of new ideas and whatnot, like is it nice kind of like being like somewhat setting your own schedule and being your own boss? Or is there ever a day where you're just like, man, I really wish I had some routine? And
no, I have a definite routine.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yeah. No, my time is like very, very well budgeted. If I don't maintain like really strict control over what I do and when I do it, I won't get shit done. And I'm behind currently on a bunch of stuff.
Really?
Yeah. So I wish it was like kind of like I could do what I want when I want. Maybe someday when I'm like Annie Leibovitz level and like holding like millions of dollars or shit like that. But nah, definite like blocks of time are spent like around the house doing shit like that, and like editing, and then like also marketing takes up like an insane amount of my time, and also like editing and all that kind of shit. So
like social media marketing and stuff like that.
All that kind of stuff. Sending out cold letters, responding to people tag me and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I respond to that, and like reaching out to like whoever. And, I try really, really hard to be like actually genuine in my social presence too. So.
Well, I agree. It becomes like for me, it's almost a routine too.
Yeah.
Like, but once it becomes routine, once it becomes a routine that you're used to, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
So like I think people a lot younger than us have already grown up in a day and age where it's like literally every day is a post because there's like they grew up on Snapchat and stuff like that. But for us, that came like later in our 20s, that's when like Snapchat and all that came out. So I think like posting on like a daily basis and interacting on social media on a daily basis really didn't, like we had like MySpace and shit when we were like in high school, but that was like you would like check it and kind of see what was going on, but you didn't always like post every single day
constantly.
Did you?
I was such a MySpace
I bet you were a MySpace star.
Oh my god, I was. Dude.
Were you like a scene kid?
Oh, I was so scene. It was disgusting.
Do you know how many friends you had on there?
Like whatever the limit was.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my! So you're famous. You're a MySpace famous.
It was all about my top 8.
Oh shit!
I was Alex Applejuice.
Alex Applejuice.
That's a true story.
Dude, that is so funny.
I was like mall famous.
I have so many friends from high school that were also MySpace famous, and they did the same. They all had like that.
Oh yeah, dude, I had like crazy hair. I would put like steps in the side of my hair and then like have it all like angled down and like spiked up in the back and shit like that.
That is too funny. I could totally see that.
Yeah, dude.
I gotta find your
like my
MySpace.
eyebrow all pierced and like my septum, like snake bites and all that shit.
Oh.
Skinny jeans and like extra small like band tees and shit like that with big belt buckles.
You're so much cooler than me.
Dude, fucking Sonny Moore in like a From First to Last video literally is wearing the exact same outfit I wore to like school every day of my life.
Really? Wait, did you copy him or did he copy you?
He copied me.
So
I mean, granted, I was 14 at the time.
Skrillex copied
I don't know how Skrillex did it, but somehow he managed to get from one side of the country to the other, observe how I dressed at Pinecrest High School, and, copied me. So, duh.
They could have. I have no idea where From First to Last.
That's cool. Frankie Palmieri also copied me from Mimir, but that's another story for another time. Whole nother
Dude,
thing.
you got good style, bro.
What can I say?
I was always like, I don't know what's up with me, but I've always like been like too cool, or like not too cool.
I've always been super cool. My name's Derek.
Like I was just like, I don't want to do that. And so like, I'm like, if you looked at my MySpace, like I never did any of like the HTML stuff. Like it was always like plain white.
Oh, lame, dude.
Yeah, I was like super like basic.
You think you'd go to mine in like the early November when start playing and like shit would cascade across.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Like I was super like seen in terms of like I went to like I was at literally like every local show. I knew every band.
I can see you being a little scenester.
Yeah, I was a scenester, but I just didn't look like a scenester. Like I look at the other scenesters, I'm like, what are you doing? Like I'm super judgy. But then I realized like I look. So like I grew up in the South.
Really?
Yeah. So I grew up in like Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, and so like before I moved to Arizona, I moved to Arizona my sophomore year of high school. And so I'd already kind of like developed, like in the South, man, like in the South I wasn't preppy at all. The South, like people had the pop collars and bright pink polos.
Yeah.
And then I moved out to Arizona, and I remember my very first day of school, there was a girl with a bright pink mohawk that was like several feet. It was huge.
Wow.
And I'd never seen a mohawk in my life at that point. And then there was another guy that had a bullet belt, like wearing a bullet belt, and I also had a mohawk. And like everyone wore black. Literally, it was like picture day, like first day of school, everyone's getting like their photo IDs. And I was the only one in an Abercrombie or whatever, like some preppy shit. And like, or preppy. And then like, or like buckle or something, I don't know. And then I went, and then
buckle.
Everyone was wearing all black, like the whole high school was. And the other thing is I went to this brand new high school where like most of the kids who went there like opted to go to this high school.
Huh.
So I think most of my like high school friends in my grade were people who like chose to leave their other high school to be there.
Huh.
So a lot of the gothy
big difference from the South, huh?
Right. Anyways, it was a culture shock.
Yeah,
and the funniest thing, the girl with the bright pink mohawk ended up being like our class valedictorian.
No shit.
And my best friend. And the guy with the bullet belt ended up becoming the best musician in the school and influenced me musically probably more than anyone else.
Huh.
And so like the people who I was like literally about to pee my pants when I saw them, I was like, oh my god, what is that? Like I've never like I thought you existed in the movies.
That's awesome.
Right, and so it completely was a huge culture shock. And so, again, it was even a bigger culture shock when I started going to local shows and just being like, what is this world?
Yeah, I can imagine.
Especially in the 2000s when everyone was like scemed out to the max.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never, for whatever reason, man, I just never got on to like, even now, I don't think I'm like particularly fashionable. I just wear like whatever I
dressed well.
Yeah, I mean, I just wear like, I don't know, I guess I don't know what my fashion is. I don't have like a statement or anything, but.
Yeah, you all seem very statement. I don't know how to phrase that.
That's all right. I don't want to rag on my own like looks or anything, but oh, okay. So with all that creative energy, do you feel like you have to like work towards being creative, or is it something that just comes so naturally to you that you just kind of take on? Like, are there nights where you're like, okay, I gotta like try and harness some creative energy in order to get this done?
Definitely. I think it varies like anything else. You know, some days I definitely don't feel like creating. Some days I don't want to get out of bed, to be fair. But like, you know,
to be fair,
other times it's like, you know, when you start creating, you want to keep creating, and like when you get one really good idea and you act upon it and it has a desired result, yeah, it just kind of keeps going. It's like a boulder rolling down a hill. Like it just keeps going and going and going and going and going. And I mean, I get like that a lot of times. So I'm conceptualizing photo shoots, music videos, anything like that. Once like we get that one really good idea, and it's like it's all downhill from there in a great way. You know? That's
really interesting though. Dude, it's the same way for like poems and songs for me.
Yeah, it just does itself at a point.
Yeah, it's either it has to get to a point where, you know, it starts and it just keeps going and it gets to a point where it's like 90% done.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, now the song, and then, you know, the rest is percent you actually have to work towards. But if I don't hit that 90%, if I can only, like, if I have like an idea, but the idea isn't enough to like spark this crazy momentum, then like that idea is now going to be shelved unless that momentum comes.
Yeah, you got to go back to it sometimes.
Yeah.
That's what I find.
But I imagine it's a little bit harder when people are actually hiring you out for creative purposes.
It's harder when you're on set and everything fails and you have to come up with something really last minute.
Right.
And you have no idea what the fuck to do and you're like, oh my god, this person's gonna hate my guts, and it's not even like on me, but like, what do we do? But I'm really good at thinking on my feet, so I don't know, that comes in handy more oftentimes than not.
I'm sure,
Yeah.
especially when you're on set and
Yeah.
you gotta improvise.
Oh, that happens so often.
Like I said, going into I'm sure these bands have these big grand ideas and you want to fulfill them, but I imagine
sometimes, like, to be fair, sometimes people are really realistic with their ideas, and it's like really awesome and refreshing when they're like, I know, like, we can't do all this stuff, but like ideally this is what I'd like to do.
Yeah.
When people are understanding, it's a lot easier. It's, especially with budget and stuff. Like, I feel like a lot of times people like shy away, like, money wise, instead of like negotiating or like talking.
Yeah.
Which, like, I'm totally more than willing to do.
I think it's, and that's another tough thing for bands is like, we're just, we're not these big, I think if you're on a label or whatever, you have a little bit more that you can throw at something like videos and whatnot. That's the other thing is like, how do you feel about like, now that everyone has DSLRs and whatnot, like, what do you think kind of like separates the professionals? Like, what kind of separates like the wheat from the chaff of videographers?
Well, I mean, tax-wise, the amount of income that you pull in from doing that job, that would probably be first and foremost. But I mean, that's like something I think about a lot in terms of music and videography, photography. This is stuff that like 30 years ago, a way smaller amount of people had access to the tools to be able to kind of do some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then, with the digital explosion, the big boom that's happened with the internet and everything else, technology has gotten to a point that so many people have the ability to do this stuff.
Right.
I think it has like a twofold kind of effect. One, it creates obviously a lot of other people entering into the market, so it becomes harder to compete, which is standard with any type of business.
Right.
But I think it also, how it weeds people out is because there's such a plethora of people doing the same shit that it comes down to the consumer to decide. Which is why, like, I'm friends with all of the same people that do the same job as me, and we hang out and like talk frequently. We have like a group going on Facebook and stuff, and that's what it comes down to is that
a
like
lot of great talented local videographers.
Yeah, and I understand that like people hire people for different reasons. Sometimes like I'm gonna lose out on a job because of money, because I hit at a higher price point. Sometimes I'm gonna lose out on a job because like the person who's looking at my stuff doesn't like what they see in my work versus what they see in someone else's.
Yeah.
That's kind of just what happens in capitalism.
No,
that's the point.
Dude, it's crazy with like not just in videography where you're seeing that, but like look at like modern production. Like now everything's so in the box that there's so many up and coming producers to the point it's like, well, basically anyone can just go produce their own.
I mean, dude, look at Lil Pump.
Yeah.
Gucci Gang, like, do you know how many people listen to that song? When you probably spent like $30 making it, dude. Like, if that, like, you spend the money on the microphone, like, probably like a $5.95 Prime Now microphone, plus like, God, it's awful. But like, anyone can do anything. Save SoundCloud. He literally saved SoundCloud.
He saved SoundCloud?
Yeah, dude, they're not like they're not declaring bankruptcy anymore.
Because that song has so many damn hits?
Because that song and like all the other people like associated in that genre brought so many people to that platform.
Well, hip hop itself, like the underground hip hop, I guess itself is what's saving SoundCloud.
Lil Pump.
Yeah, I guess so. Lil Pump.
That was sarcasm.
And like what?
Gucci Gang.
Little Uzi.
Lil Uzi.
Yeah. Is he the one who did like All My Friends Are Dead song?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know enough about hip hop.
I don't know. My whiteness is showing really bad right now. we gotta reel it back a little bit.
Like, okay, so our drummer, like Brandon's like a really good producer. Rio's are like a lot of our friends are really good producers who don't do it in a professional manner.
Yeah.
But like we go over there and we can make like really good songs that are like just as high as quality as some of the stuff that's blowing up. But obviously, we do go to studios that we like and enjoy, and we go to producers that see our vision and can help us as a band. But I do feel like things like pretty much the entire creative industry is like that right now, both videography, music production, and music itself, because music anyone can put out their music anywhere now.
Yeah.
And there's so much of it, and then
so many platforms. Fans
of music are like overwhelmed and oversaturated that it's really hard to separate what is great from what is mediocre. And the good thing about that is it forces everyone to be really, really good.
Doesn't that beget a deeper question though?
What's that?
What is good? Isn't that subjective to the listener?
It is. I mean, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang.
I mean, like, I'm not listening to Gucci Gang,
There's something about it, though, that, like, I remember hearing that for the first time.
It's catchy. I gotta say, it's catchy.
I remember hearing the first time being like, that dude just rhymed Gucci Gang like 8 times in a row.
It's not really rhyming if you're just repeating the same word, man.
but it gets you, and like,
It does.
and so yeah, that really does beg the question of what is good and what is not.
It's subjective to the listener.
But obviously, saying Gucci Gang is good, or at least, or being bad at something, but getting people's attention is good.
Fair enough.
So, you know, you can be Rebecca Black and have a song like Friday, and with half-assed production and half-assed videography and very half-assed songwriting, and absolutely blow up because there's something not provocative but appealing to it.
Something.
Yeah, there's something.
I haven't personally been able to figure it out, but you know,
There's magic
something
to
for
it.
someone. Yeah,
There's magic to it.
I guess.
The philosophy of Rebecca Black and Little Pump.
Alright, that makes a lot more sense. Alright, I understand better now where we are.
Less about the creativity. We talked about some of your, talked about like programming and stuff like that. You actually, last time we hung out, you showed me where, wait, am I allowed to talk about this?
You can talk about whatever you want here.
You're currently mining
Cryptocurrency,
Bitcoin, and
I'm particularly mining Verge. Yeah, Verge.
Live though?
The illusion has been broken.
Okay, good. Yeah, my super high tech. Oh crap! This this little syringe that you got from one of your metal shoots.
Oh yeah, don't get like stabbed on that.
Yeah,
it's pretty sharp.
That's sinister.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick. So to kind of wrap things up, I want to talk about Bitcoin for a second?
Sure.
Because I literally know nothing about it.
Okay.
And I don't think I'm alone in this, and you know a lot about it.
Okay.
So, like, what is Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? Like, just what is it?
Damn, that's a very, alright,
in the most simplistic way you can.
Okay, let's start by...
We can start wherever you want to start, dude.
Let's start by defining money.
Money.
Okay, so you use paper notes that represent a currency that's backed by a standard by the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
Okay, so like the value of the dollar shifts depending on how much of the dollar is in circulation.
Yes.
So cryptocurrency is different than that because it's not controlled by a central authority such as the Federal Reserve. So there's a capped amount of it that can ever exist. So they can't create more. Therefore, the value of it can never really deflate. So how it works is essentially...
But it's backed by real money, though, right? Because you guys are buying into it.
Yes and no.
Wouldn't that affect the value of it?
Yes, but there's really kind of no such thing as real money. Money is kind of just like not real at all.
Oh,
so
shit.
you're kind of just like it's like trading any kind of stock. So I trade and I mine.
Yeah.
When you trade the value of one thing against another.
Right.
So if the goal is to buy in low and sell high. So you look for currencies that are basically coins that are created on a blockchain standard that uses either a script algorithm or an SHA-256 algorithm, which are both secure algorithms for controlling basically transactions that go through a chain. Mm-hmm. And the goal is to have a system of money that people can use to purchase goods with and support themselves with that has no central authority over it. Therefore, the value of it can be kept at a high rate. Essentially, and there's a lot of different cryptocurrencies out there. Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum are like the top three really largely discussed big ones. And each of them serve a different purpose and have different ideas behind them. And then there's a bunch of what you would call altcoins, which I'm really into, which are way smaller concept ideas that you want to kind of like take off and like do big things. Ripple is like a really big one right now. Ripple has been going up tremendously the last couple of days. I bought into it at like $1.60 a share essentially, and it's up to $3 a share now, so that's double in money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So things like that. Watch out for trends and whatnot. I mean, it's a lot of it's based on anonymity and the ability to conduct transactions without someone else being able to spy on you and see what you're doing, which is why I like Verge, because that's the ultimate anonymous way to send money.
So is this usually short-term investment or long-term investment, or how do you perceive this? Both?
Yeah. Different currencies you expect big things from. So Tron and Verge are both really good examples for me. Verge, I really do think will take off and be worth a good amount of money, maybe 6-8 months from now, because it's truly anonymous. It uses Tor protocol. So you can send money to someone without your IP address being traced or like any information actually hitting the blockchain, which is a record of all of the transactions ever. And I think that's something that a lot of people do want is anonymity with what they spend their money on. They don't want to be spied on by governments, especially in the age of WikiLeaks and things like that.
Right.
So, I mean, I think Verge is a really big one.
How do you get started in it? So let's say, okay, now that we know what it is, let's say, okay, I want to buy some Bitcoin or Verge or Ripple. How do I start getting?
Well, if you want, you can do two things. You can mine or you can buy. If you mine, you need to get either a miner or build a rig that has enough graphics cards to mine a currency. Bitcoin is too complicated to mine pretty much right now unless you have tens of thousands of dollars to throw down on a bunch of different things and invest heavily. But things like Verge, which I'm currently mining, is not particularly difficult. You can do that with graphics cards. You can either mine, and basically your computer will run a script and command prompt that just solves math equations over and over again that you get a reward for. That reward goes to a wallet. That wallet is based on market value, so you can, withdraw, deposit, etc. If you want to trade, you can use an app called Coinbase, or you can go directly to GDAX, which is kind of like NASDAQ or the S&P 500. It's an exchange. Give money from your bank account and just buy into Bitcoin. And then you can transfer that to something like Binance, which is another exchange, and buy altcoins like Ripple, Tron, Ethereum, whatever.
Interesting. So what would your general advice be then for someone getting started? Would you start them off with
buy low, hold.
Buy low and hold?
Yeah, hold for a year. Don't worry about it. Pick a good investment. Pick something that you believe in the project and the ideas behind the project. Put your money where your mouth is. If you think something's a really good idea, don't listen to other people telling you it's stupid. Put your money into it. If you had invested in Tron 4 days ago, you would have paid 2 cents per share. You could have literally dropped $1,000 and gotten so many shares of Tron, and today it's up to like 13, 14 cents. You've made 12 times the amount of money you originally spent.
God dang, man.
In days.
So much money.
And if you hold that, a year from now, that should be worth $2, $3, $4. So, that keeps going up, and eventually, you have thousands of coins in this, and it's worth $20 per, and then you have thousands of it because you bought it at 2 cents per. You're rich.
So, you kind of mentioned, you briefly touched on, WikiLeaks and shit like that. So, I know you're actually somewhat politically active. Obviously, you're vocal online and things like that, but you actually went to the Trump rally that was held here not too long ago, where he announced that Sheriff Joe was going to be pardoned, and that did not bode well for most of Phoenix.
That did not go over so well, yeah.
How was that night for you?
It was pretty crazy. I consider myself to be fairly liberal, a little bit fiscally conservative, but I believe in social programs and things like that, and I'm a bleeding heart.
Yeah.
But I'm also pretty practical. I went with my camera and with another friend, also named Alex, ironically, or coincidentally, I guess. Kind of just to document. I went on both sides. I tried not to be biased. I really do have this idea that seeing history happen is more important than kind of standing on the sidelines.
Yeah.
That's what I try and do. But yeah, no, it got really heated. I saw a fist fight break out that police separated. It's pretty crazy. Ended up having tear gas shot at us.
Really?
And, rubber bullets.
Did you get hit by the tear gas?
I didn't get hit. No.
I've been hit by tear gas.
Have you?
From police? Yeah.
Oh man, I've had it hit near me and stuff like that. Never actually hit me personally.
I mean, it was in the vicinity.
No, definitely was in the vicinity.
Yeah.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was with.
Shit got crazy, dude.
I was on Mill. It was a Halloween. I was with a couple of friends and local bands, and dude, it was wild. And I guess a fight broke out. I don't know. The cops really had no reason to really they could have just grabbed the fight guys, but instead they were just plop, and just shot a tear gas cannon.
So lesson to everybody out there. In America, you can have tear gas shot at you for either believing in politics or for drinking too much on Mill Avenue.
Yeah, literally any reason.
Either or.
Yeah. No, the cops in Tempe are just...
They love using that shit, dude.
Dude, they look like Batman. Have you ever seen a Tempe cop?
Yeah, no, they
Dude,
do
they are
look like
strapped.
Batman.
Like, they're
strapped
crazy.
Especially for a college town.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like, what are you expecting, man?
I don't know, man.
Like a war?
Like, definitely.
I mean, in Arizona, I guess we're all got guns and stuff, so maybe there's a war that's going to happen. But,
maybe there's a war. There's a war coming.
There's a war.
War's coming.
Winter's coming.
Winter's coming. Storm's coming.
And then you also went to, you mentioned
Occupy Wall Street.
Yes, thank you. Good God. Thank God we talked before
before
we start drinking all the wine.
That's good. Yeah, I was at Occupy Wall Street.
How was that one? Was that as violent or a little bit tamer?
No, it was much more violent, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, everything in Phoenix was like nothing compared to what I saw on Occupy Wall Street.
Is that in Philly?
No, New York.
New York?
Zuccotti Park in Manhattan. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, man.
What happened?
I mean, I was there like a few days. Like, I saw a lot of shit happen. There was like marches, stuff like that. Tom Morello came down and played like protest songs on his acoustic guitar. I met Russell Brand, who also came down and was like talking. It was pretty nuts. There was a lot of homeless people that were really, really hella aggressive towards other people, like just kind of demented.
So was it a lot? So that was the thing that really disenfranchised the Occupy Wall Street movement. Was like,
yeah, there were
the media was like, oh, it's all homeless people. There's no one like intelligent and articulate here.
That's definitely not accurate.
Yeah.
I have actually never seen a gathering of such varied types of people. Holy shit, dude! From Hare Krishnas to like Christians to like atheists to like groups of like pro-women, groups of like pro-gay, like all these like just different like factions of people all together for like uniting causes. It was pretty cool. The police response I thought was insane compared to what was actually happening. I mean, I took pictures. Mayor Bloomberg came down, like things got crazy. I saw people getting zip tied. There was definitely more than one time that like tear gas was like lobbed and stuff like that.
So you've been tear gassed a couple times now.
Yeah, I've seen some things. I've seen some things.
That's interesting. You know, I really feel like maybe that movement, while they say it was directionless, I think it did really move into what we're seeing now, the Bernie Sanders, socialism and stuff like that, which I think is definitely more of a specific message.
I mean, I think that's how history works, is that there's a big push in one direction, and then there's an equal push in the opposite direction, and eventually
the pendulum swung, that's for sure.
And it evens out eventually, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes some very extreme things
There's
to happen.
been some extreme pendulum swings.
Yeah, God, that's the understatement of the year so far. We're only 3 days in, so like I feel pretty safe giving you that.
Yeah.
Understatement of the year.
No, it's just going to go down this year, for sure. But I don't know about you, but like at first I felt like this need, like I should stay politically involved and knowledgeable. And now I've gotten to this point where I'm like, I think it's information overload. Like I feel like I need to take a break because it's so gloom and doom. And there's like, and there comes to a point where it's like, I don't know, like a lot of my political beliefs, I'm not saying they're set in stone because I love talking to people and getting other perspectives. But I feel like, okay, like reading this article that I know is going to depress the shit out of me isn't going to like do anything other than like either be like a cyclic feedback of what I already believe or whatever. So a lot of like, it's like self-fulfilling. Like people read things that fulfill their own
just
beliefs.
Reinforces your own beliefs over and over again.
So I'm like, what value is this? Because like I already know what I stand for politically. So like, is there really any value for me to just read this really depressing article otherwise?
That's such a fair point.
So I don't know. I mean, that's where I've been. And this year, I pretty much, I'm not like swearing off like news or anything like that necessarily. I just know like I don't want it to be nearly as like consuming as I felt like it was this last year. Yeah. In comparison to the previous years.
You know, what's funny is like how Trump like is so vengeful towards the media and like hates it so much and everything. But you're right, like this last year has had more.
Oh, it's a glory! Yeah, it's like the golden age,
dude.
It's the golden age of media for sure. Oh, they love him. I'm like they love and hate him at the same time.
So much for draining the swamp.
No, dude, and having a villain is just like
that's great.
Leading
sells
this free country. Yeah, of course it sells newspapers.
Citizen Kane, dude.
But
sell newspapers.
Let's just like pray to God we don't actually have a nuclear bomb go off.
That'd be dope. I'd be super stoked on that.
If we can just skate by, like just doing all right.
That'd be cool, man.
And he also like tweeted about like the deep state and stuff like that the other day and stuff like that. Like, Please, Jesus, let that be true that there's these, like, let's, Illuminati, save me now.
Man. Why do we let him have a Twitter?
Oh, God. Oh. But anyways, we should probably get off politics before we lose all my fans.
That's fair.
Because we do live in Arizona, after all.
We do. That's accurate. We do live in Arizona.
So, anyways, I try not to get too political, but I think it's really interesting that you partake in that.
Just love each other.
Well, yeah. At the end of the day, and it's good to have good open conversations.
Yeah.
So whether it's opposing political views or you and I talked to religion the other night, and dude, I love it when people ask me about my religious or spiritual beliefs, and they have and I can talk to them with an open mind and stuff like that.
Isn't that the greatest thing there? That ancient Greek concept of rhetoric and actually having conversation back and forth and challenging each other's ideas to find some sort of clarity or something.
Right.
Isn't that the fun part of life?
Yeah.
To me, it is.
That's why
Maybe
I do
I'm a
this
loser.
thing. Yeah, dude, that's why I do this thing. Because I love people I love hearing things that aren't traditional or that are.
I even doing that with myself, playing devil's advocate. If I form an opinion, trying to challenge it myself and poke holes in my own beliefs.
I grew up. Oh God, I don't want to. I know this is narcissistic. Anyway, I grew up in a family that my uncle and my family was actually they're very politically involved in Texas. They're actually
Texas
representatives and stuff. Anyway, and lobbyists and whatnot. But anyways,
that's cool.
But every time I get together with my family, my extended family, since I was a kid, we would do this. We would play these games where someone would throw a topic out, and we would have to debate it, and then we'd switch sides and have to debate the other side.
Oh, yeah, that's what we did in debate club.
Yeah, well, I actually never.
I did that.
I never had speech and debate club. I wish I did. I would have loved it. But yeah, as a kid, I grew up debating with my family and stuff, and so that's why.
That's cool.
Even now, I just love it when obviously there's some people who get really take it too personal or they have a hard time they feel attacked.
Yeah.
But I generally don't, and so I love having talked to people with opposing viewpoints.
It also comes down to I don't know a lot of people phrase things I feel in a way that is kind of either pandering or
right.
It's kind of rude that it's easy to take offense to and feel that it's personal.
Oh, and that's how how
Derek, why would you ever believe that? Oh my god.
And then the name call, the way that everything is online now, it kills me too, man.
Yeah.
I can't read comments.
Oh,
on,
dude,
Twitter,
I
YouTube.
love it because it goes from 0 to 60 so fast.
Oh,
holy crap!
It really is. People just go for the gut every time.
Dude, I'm not trying to segue it back, but I'm just saying, I saw that panel of women accusing Trump of sexual misconduct, and I was like, don't read the comments, don't read the comments, don't read the comments. And I read the comments, and they were just so awful. Oh my god! Things that I would never in a million years ever claim or say about anyone claiming sexual assault, no matter what political affiliation or what have you. I would just never think or say those things, and they were being said.
These comments are straight cancer, bro. You can't read those.
Oh, dude, when I started doing music videos, the first thing I started doing was reading comments, and then I started getting the shit comments that were this video sucks, this band sucks. I'm why are you listening and watching?
Yeah, why do you even do it?
It just hurt my feelings, but now I'm almost 30 and I don't give a shit.
Yeah, dude, you can't listen to that criticism.
No,
honestly, though, when I get those criticisms and things like that, I secretly love it.
I think it's funny sometimes.
Well, yeah, sometimes you just gotta laugh it off.
I think you do.
But to me, it's well, you listen to it.
Dumbass, you're one of those views.
Yeah. Not only do they listen to it, but now they're talking about it.
Yeah.
And
they give you exactly what you wanted in a way.
Dude, oh my god, we gotta wrap it up pretty soon.
All right,
but one last thing I just want to say.
Sure.
Who was I talking to about this yesterday? Oh, maybe it was you. I was talking about how the early days of the Maine, how this is how old we are. When the Maine first came out, they were super pop, and literally half the scene was this band is pandering and awful, and the other half was no, this is amazing.
Yep.
And but it was just as important that the people who were shit talking the Maine were so loud about it that it eventually literally I couldn't go to another local show without everyone asking me about my opinion on the Maine. And so everyone was talking about them. And the Maine, they were the fastest band out of Arizona, easily. The band coming obviously we've had Jimmy World and Fun and all these other great bands. The Maine was just within the course of a year, like put out an album and are like signed.
Dude, I mean, like
major
I
label.
listen to them in Pennsylvania.
And I love them now.
The format I listen to in Pennsylvania.
As Arizona band.
Yeah. That was like the coolest thing ever, by the way, when I first moved here and I drove on the 51 for the first time. And I was like, holy shit, tune out is backed up into some. Let's tune out by turning on the radio. Yes, I was like, this is so cool.
Dude, I got to see format once or twice while they're still open.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to wrap it up though.
All right,
so give us some promo. Tell everyone what you got going on or your channels or.
Channels? Okay. All right. Follow me on Instagram at Alexander Thomas Photography or at Alex T. Reinhard. Both of those Alex T. Reinhard names are pretty easy to find me on all social media platforms, including alextreinhard.com. And yeah, watch stuff that I'm doing. Lots of photos of people, including some pretty cool bands and some pretty girls and some music videos, and some other stuff, including commentary.
And music.
I would refer to it as zany, and also, yes, music. Watch out for Also Looks Like Mountains. We'll be releasing a new album relatively soon. Right now, our LP1 is out. Check it out, and we'll be playing shows soon. Updates to be announced. And don't forget to check out the Breaking Pattern, too. Although, if you're watching this, I assume you probably have checked out the Breaking Pattern and know how amazing they actually are. But, yeah, stay tuned, guys.
Let's do some... oh gosh, we got some people talking. Oh, who's all hanging out? Ash says my favorites. Hi Ash, you're our favorite too. You're my favorite model in Phoenix for sure. I think you do awesome work with Alex, and the new shoot's great.
Dude, I'm so stoked for it to come out.
You just put out one today where she, it's like that 50s pinup type
dude.
vibe.
Oh, dude, I have a whole bunch from that coming out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get this to her tomorrow morning. Yeah, I'm not done editing them. I have like 9-ish done.
Yeah, that's great. I'm super pumped that Ash is back in the scene and
back in the scene.
Well, she kind of stopped there for a while, but yeah, she did some modeling for us back in the day. If you guys remember our single, "Pretty on the Outside," she was a model. She was a model on that one. So
I can't really picture it in my head, but I remember the song.
Yeah, I'll send you that, or I'll show it to you later. It's good stuff. Amber Emmerich says Alex is so legit. Smiley face. Hi, Amber.
Hey, Amber.
Thank you for tuning in. Connor Gillickson. Yeah, but if you wait long enough, outdated becomes retro.
That's true.
That's actually very true.
That's accurate. Connor actually also does music videos.
Does he?
Yeah, in Canada.
In Canada?
Yeah, he's an internet friend of mine who does he does a whole bunch of this shit. We talk pretty frequently. Share tips back and forth and program stuff.
Dude, I'll have to check out your work,
dude. He does really dope work too. So
well, hopefully our shit's not retro when it comes out. But we're pretty slow at putting content out.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you wait as long to put out this last music video as you do this next one, like, by that time it'll full cycle and it'll be fashionable again.
I'm pretty sure.
You're set.
We sat on Shadow for God. Well, we shot that in May.
I feel like you said we shat on it.
We sat on it. We sat on Shadow of the Moon from May to December.
Yeah, December.
So more than half a year. But hey, that's how it works.
That's how it works.
Ash says, this concept for the album makes me want to take hallucinogenics.
Oh, you should. Yeah, get like really baked and listen to our music. That's what we do.
I think, I'm pretty sure if you listen to the story of the...
God, dude, the first album's even crazier, man. That's like a whole thing.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it's like Western... It's kind of like Dark Tower meets like Magnificent Seven, kind of.
And there's no lyrics to this?
No.
Oh my God, dude. Okay.
We were thinking about maybe adding in some like like some like background oohs and stuff. Like, like And So I Watch You From Afar, if you're into them.
Yeah, the early Caspian used to have.
Too.
The early Caspian used to have vocals that are
super.
Tall Ships. Haven't heard of them.
Oh, dude, you would dig Tall Ships if you like music like that.
Bro, we're gonna have to swap ambient playlists.
Down.
Post-rock playlists.
Down.
Cameron says Ripperoos.
All right.
I have no idea what that means.
I don't think it matters.
Ted says, can I drop off your hard drive? Yeah, man. You almost interrupted my live feed here, but wait.
Can I drop?
I guess that's because I turned him off when he called me.
He knew where to go, dude. That's good. He knew what was up. really.
Yeah, he knew it was
No hiding
Wednesday.
what you were doing, to be fair.
Yeah, no one's home right now. Sorry, Ted. You can. Oh shit. Are you still watching, Ted?
If Ted's still watching, I don't give a shit if he drops it off here.
Yeah, you can come over to Alex's, or you can come over later tonight.
Ooh,
Ash said it was me. I don't know what that one was referencing.
It probably was her though.
Whatever it is, it's definitely you.
Yep.
Oh, probably that you were talking to the
It
man
had
about
to
the other day.
be.
Oh, I was talking to her about the main thing.
There we go.
Oh, that's so. I was
I knew
totally.
it wasn't me.
I knew it was at your party though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I hope I'm not repeating conversation, but it doesn't matter because they haven't
Dude,
heard
I
it
slept until like 3 p.m. the next day.
yet. And dude, I've been trying to get Ash on for Wine Wednesday for a while. It's because I wanted to get like a model on who's like actually been in the modeling
You
world.
should.
And I know she's seen some shit, but she's also but she's also had good success. So I was like, all right, I want to hear like the good and the bad of like the whole modeling.
Yeah.
But anyway, she said, have me on in PJs, please. I'm sure the men would appreciate that. Sarah Pottinger Passilis.
Oh, Sarah Casillas.
Yeah, she says she loves Alex and has the heart smiley face.
I love Sarah, so that works out.
Tall Ships.
Tall
Cammy.
Ships, that's right. Tall Ships is amazing.
Yeah, I'll have to check them out. So.
Caspian's definitely dope too.
Cool. Maybe, do you guys want to, maybe we should share, me and Alex are going to make a post-rock playlist. We'll share it on my Twitter or
Oh,
something.
dude, that'd be tight. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I'm super down on that.
We've been meaning to put out more Spotify playlists for people.
You should. Just like curious.
I think it's
playlists.
fun, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyways, okay, that's it. I don't see any more comments, but if you guys do have any more comments, you can leave them throughout the week, and we will talk to you another time. But anyways, I think that's it.
That's it. I think we should do a final cheers and say goodnight to everybody.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Cheers. L'chaim.
Cheers. Good night.
Goodbye. Happy Wine Wednesday. Happy New Year, everyone.